Did you know that most relationships can be saved? In fact, there's a golden window of opportunity that only lasts a few weeks after a breakup, when not only can the vast majority of relationships be saved, they can actually be enhanced so that your man is more committed and loving than ever before. But there's a catch. Most women try too hard to get their man back during this critical time, and by doing so, they risk losing him forever. But with the right strategies and approach, 90% of all relationships can not only be saved, they can actually be enhanced. You might be wondering how I can possibly know so much about relationships and be so confident in my predictions, especially since I'm a man myself. Well, after more than 20 years as a licensed professional counselor, I have literally counseled thousands of couples and singles on this very issue. And right now, I'm going to reveal these 3 huge secrets about men that most women never realize until it's too late. But before I reveal the first secret, I want to ask you one very simple question. Did he discuss with you or provide any clues that a breakup was coming? In most cases, the answer is no, which brings me to my big first secret about men that most women never realize until it's too late. Men fear losing an argument. While no one likes to lose an argument, most men will actually avoid even sharing any negative feelings about the relationship for fear that it will start an argument that they will eventually lose. So instead of sharing their issues with the relationship, they simply repress their feelings until one day they just drop the relationship without much or any warning at all, leaving you to guess about what went wrong. I know it may sound silly, but if you want to understand how to get him back and make the relationship stronger than ever, then you have to know how men really think. Okay, now are you ready for the second secret? Most men don't know what to expect from a committed relationship. If you put most men in a work environment, a camp setting, or even a room filled with other men doing whatever, they have an idea of what is expected of them and what they should or should not do. But if you put those same men into a committed relationship with a woman, they are lost. With most people coming from divorced parents and broken families, the blueprint for how to act and respond in a committed relationship just isn't there for most men. So when they get confused, stressed, or otherwise put into a situation they don't recognize, well, it's simply easier to end the relationship than to admit they don't know what to do. Okay, now before I tell you the third secret about men that most women never realize until it's too late, I have to warn you. Getting him back and making the relationship stronger than ever will require some adjustments from both parties, and that includes you. Which brings me to the final secret. Men are not women. I know it's the most obvious thing in the world, but I assure you, most women fail to truly embrace this fact until it's too late. Allow me to explain. After a breakup, most women try and coax their man back using methods that would be effective on another woman, but often prove disastrous on a man. Have you tried any of these strategies? Have you been overly emotional or demanding? Have you called him? Have you begged him to come back to you or driven by his home repeatedly? If you've tried any of these strategies and failed to win him back, don't worry, there's still time. The simple truth is that women tend to be more socialized and are just more adept at conflict resolution via talking and working things out. Men, on the other hand, tend to have more of a fight-or-flight response to conflict due to their poor socialization skills. And since men view fighting in a relationship as arguing, and remember, most men don't think they can win an argument, they instead choose flight and just abruptly end the relationship. Therefore, trying to win him back by using the same strategies you would use to resolve a conflict with another woman, well, it just won't work, which is why these strategies backfire and actually end up driving the man further away. Now, are you ready for the good news? This may be the most important video you'll ever watch because with the right strategies, you can save your relationship and bring him back into your life. As you watch this entire video, in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the reasons why man suddenly loses interest in having a relationship with you, even if he was previously very much into you, and how your natural tendencies as a woman may contribute to the breakup and make reconciliation more difficult. What you can do to avoid sabotaging your reconciliation efforts. I'll show you the number one mistake women make when trying to get their man back, and my step-by-step game plan, including techniques that have been used for centuries to rekindle relationships. This game plan is virtually guaranteed to soften your man's heart and create a deeper bond between the two of you that paves the way to reestablishing your relationship. I'll even reveal to you my word-for-word script, 9 incredibly powerful words that you can say to your man that will make him realize he simply couldn't bear to lose you. but I offer a warning that I've seen too many women ignore. Don't wait until your man has moved on in his life without you and shuts you out of his heart forever. You must strike while the iron is hot. When you follow my game plan exactly as prescribed, it is highly likely that he'll come running back to you. My name is Bob Grant, and I'm a licensed counselor with offices in Marietta, Georgia. I'm also the author of the best-selling book, The Woman Men Adore and Never Want to Leave. For the past 20 years, the majority of my clients have been women. And one of the top relationship problems they've come to see me for is this. The man in their life has lost interest in them, and they want to know how to get him back. Luckily, I have an effective remedy based not only on real-life feedback from thousands of my real-life female clients, but also from time-tested strategies and techniques I've developed over the years, which when properly implemented are most difficult for a man to resist. But before I reveal the remedy, or the absolute best game plan to bring back your man, I'm going to ask you to take part in a fun and eye-opening 7-second pop quiz. If a man with whom you've recently had a good relationship suddenly loses interest in you, and you sense that he's beginning to pull away from you, which of these frequently used strategies do you think is the best thing you can do to get him back? Should you A, write him a letter expressing your heartfelt emotions, reminding him of all the good times you've had, what you think went wrong in your relationship, and ways to make your relationship better? Or B, call him on the phone, tell him how you feel, and get him to open up and talk about his feelings. Perhaps C, give him gifts and shower him with sweetness and love so he'll realize what he's missing by not having you in his life. Or D, call him and say, no one will ever love you as much as I do. Now, I must confess to you that if you checked any of the above, then I'm afraid your answer is wrong. The correct answer is none of these work best. That's right, none of these above strategies work, at least not permanently. And I realize I tricked you, but I had to make you see this point. In the 20 years I've spent working with clients, I've found that most women do not have a clue as to how to effectively win back a man who has lost interest in them. They almost always go about it the wrong way. By far, the most common mistake a woman makes when trying to get a man back is this. She uses strategies that work on women, but not on men. Now, let me explain. Men respond to things differently than women, and they're not hardwired to understand feelings the way women are. That's why talking about your feelings and getting him to talk about his feelings rarely works. Writing him a letter is also a waste of time because words do not have the same effect on a man that they have on a woman, no matter how wonderful your words are and how beautiful the sentiments are behind those words. Most women think that words are going to tug at a man's heartstrings and make him fall to his knees, begging for the woman to take him back. Ladies, let me be blunt. They don't. Words are for women. While it might make you feel good that you've written the most inspiring letter in the world, your letter won't have much of an impact on a man, period. Giving him gifts and showering him with sweetness and love seldom work either because men don't flow as well in the emotional realm as women do. You simply cannot flood a man's heart with emotions to win him back the way you could a woman's. Let me tell you about one woman who learned this the hard way. Heather started dating a guy named Greg, who she didn't know was dating 2 other women besides her. One day, Greg told her up front about the other 2 women, and Heather was shocked and dismayed because she had been dating him exclusively and thought that the exclusivity was mutual. Not knowing what else to do, she tearfully asked him what was wrong. She thought sharing her feelings would appeal to his heart. What it actually did was make him feel overwhelmed. In fact, 2 days later, he told her he wasn't ready to date her exclusively. By the end of the week, he called her again to tell her that he didn't want to see her anymore. This is what happens when you don't understand how to use your emotions to your advantage. Now, I showed Heather the game plan, and she immediately set it in motion. For 4 weeks, nothing happened. Greg didn't even call her, and that made her think he probably just wanted to play the field and didn't want to be tied down to one woman. But on the 5th week, he called and said, "I've been thinking about you." He said he wanted to know how she was doing and just wanted to talk, without particularly wanting to get back with her. Little did Greg know that the game plan had prepared Heather for this very call. She knew exactly what to say to Greg and how to say it. Within a month of working the magic of the plan, they went on a date, and soon afterward, Greg stopped seeing the other 2 women and decided to have a relationship with Heather exclusively. Heather had captured his heart, and he didn't even know what hit him. You see, what I shared with Heather wasn't just a simple how-to plan. Those don't always work because they fail to address the root cause of why your man left you or lost interest in the first place. So even if you do manage to get your man back using one of the common ploys, it will be temporary at best because the cause of the breakup will remain unresolved. What I shared with Heather was not only how to get your man back, but how to keep him devoted to you forever. Now, you can only get this kind of magical effect on a man if you are willing to give up trying to get him to explain all of his feelings to you. Once you get back together with him, then you can have those discussions. But until then, you must understand that men are not usually willing to open up about their feelings long enough for you to figure out what it was that caused them to leave. And oftentimes, they may not even be aware of the underlying reason why they habitually try to escape from relationships that are going well. When women make educated guesses as to what caused their man to break up with them, more often than not, they guess wrong. And so they waste all their time trying to fix the wrong problem and never get anywhere. So what's a woman to do? Well, I'll get to that in a moment, but first, here's what you shouldn't do. Beware of untrained relationship coaches and relationship resources that dispense advice of dubious value. You see, there are several books, not to mention dozens of articles in women's magazines about how to get your man back or how to rekindle an old romance. There are even more self-proclaimed relationship coaches who claim they can help you with your relationship problems. Whatever you do, don't fall for the following. Number 1, relationship books that are not gender specific. Books that give generic advice for both men and women seeking to rekindle relationships with their ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend are seldom effective because, as I've pointed out above, what works on women does not work on men, and vice versa. Most available resources tend to be tilted in favor of helping men get their woman back. Number 2, magazine articles or relationship advice based on trickery. Far too many books and magazine articles on relationship advisors show you how to trick a man into submission by using all sorts of deception and, of course, the old standby sex. In my opinion, these do more harm than good. Trickery could work in the short term, and it may well help you get your man back temporarily, but it won't enable you to sustain the relationship. You're likely to lose your man again down the line because the device used to get him back was based on shallow motivations instead of a deep understanding of men. The third area is advice given by untrained or inexperienced relationship coaches. When you take advice from such untrained people who resort to guesswork instead of extensive real-life experience, you run the risk of making critical mistakes that could jeopardize your chances of ever getting your man back. So now that you know what to do, what should you do? My clinical counseling practice has enabled me to develop powerful strategies for helping couples rekindle relationships, including a step-by-step game plan to help women get their man back. I truly want to share this game plan with more than just my clients who are able to travel to my office in Georgia to sit down with me face-to-face. I also want to help those who can't afford my counseling services at $175 an hour. So I devised a way that will enable you to gain immediate access to my game plan and let you benefit from my experience without you having to shell out hundreds of dollars in hourly fees. And you don't even have to leave the comfort of your home or office. For the first time, I've spilled my secrets in the pages of my second ebook entitled How Do I Get Him Back? Now, unlike other relationship resources that teach you the obvious ploys of rekindling a man's interest temporarily, my ebook shows you how to understand your man deeply so that you can sustain your relationship after he does come back to you. In fact, when you get How Do I Get Him Back, I'll share with you how to tap into a man's pain, which holds the secret to reaching his heart. The 9 words you can say to your man that will make him realize he simply can't bear to lose you. Now, this is a last-ditch tactic, and it's based on one of the most powerful psychological motivators in the world. When you do acts of kindness, generosity, and graciousness, you actually come across to a man as being controlling instead of being perceived as praiseworthy. How to get what you really want in a man, and a simple exercise that takes all the guesswork out of determining if the man you want is good for you or worth the trouble to get him back. how to use your feminine attributes to make yourself a safe person in whom he can confide his fears and inner pain, so that you can finally discover the real reason he escapes from relationships, and ultimately make him want to get back with you. Why a man's imagination is the best thing you have going for you, and how to use it to make him crave to be with you again. I'll also show you how to identify signals in a man's voice that tell you when his guard is down, that he's willing to let you get closer, and it's the best time to talk about the previous issues in your relationship. And what if he doesn't call you? I'll show you how to initiate contact with him in a demure and classy way, without appearing to be too forward or desperate, or running the risk of being perceived as a stalker. How to affect a man on an emotional level to maximize the chances of rekindling your relationship with him. What you must do in order to get the attention of your ex, and how to determine what will cause him to want to be with you again. You'll also learn how to show him you care about him without coming across as being too needy, emotional, or high maintenance, which could backfire on you and cause your man to back off. Also, how to tell when a man has reached the threshold of giving and is overwhelmed by your needs that he feels the need to escape. How to know if your man has unresolved issues which persist even when you're doing everything right in a relationship, and how to know if those issues can be resolved, or if you need to give him up as a lost cause. I want to give you a warning also that your acts of kindness and generosity may be giving him the impression that you're a woman of low self-esteem, or one who's trying too hard to please him, and how to know when you're giving too much. The top 3 reasons why a man chooses to end his relationship with a woman. The sooner you understand these, the sooner you can get him back, and prevent the same mistakes from happening again. How to influence and shape your man's opinion of you, and get him to see you as being more beautiful and valuable, and not someone who can be taken for granted. The art of perfect timing, how to create the perfect environment and time to give your man the relationship-enhancing advice or insights at the precise moment he is ready to hear it, so as not to drive him further away. Why insisting on a commitment from a man is one of the best things you can do for him, whether he thinks it's a good idea or not. I'll also show you how to differentiate between insight problems and motivation problems involved in a breakup, and how to deal with each type correctly. How to avoid putting your man on the defensive with your well-meaning opinions. How to understand what's really going on inside a man's heart in order to make him warm up to the idea of reconciling with you. This is something he might not even be aware of, or he's been trying to avoid. What causes women to have blind spots and makes them clueless as to what men want and what drives them away. How to avoid continually implementing strategies just because they're familiar to you, in favor of implementing the most effective plan for getting him back. How to avoid knee-jerk reactions that your fears compel you to do, even though those actions may make perfect sense to you, because often they're usually the least effective way of getting your man back. How to know how much you should be giving to your man. Too little, and he won't know how much you care about him. Too much, and he's going to feel like you're competing with him. And how to get your man back by tapping into the very thing that caused him to date you in the first place. And there's so much more. I've always found it quite amazing to observe how dramatically a woman's life changes when she has the enduring devotion of the man she wants. And in this regard, I'd like to ask you this. How would the quality of your life change when you get your man back? How overjoyed would you be when you realize you have the power to keep your man devoted to you forever? What price can you put on not wasting any more time with ineffective ways to get your man back, but instead having a step-by-step game plan to effortlessly magnetize him back into your life, even if there are other women vying for his attention? What's the value of never feeling helpless, hurt, or broken-hearted if your man suddenly loses interest, but instead having the know-how to reignite the spark in his heart, create a deeper bond with him, and reestablish a stronger and enduring relationship? How delighted would you feel when you realize that you never have to let a man slip through your fingers again, or watch him walk out of your life without being able to do anything about it? Clearly, most women regard the ability to win a man's heart back as a priceless skill, one that's worth a small fortune and life-changing benefits not only for themselves, but also the female friends and relatives that could potentially help once they've learned the game plan. So what's it worth to you? $3,000? $2,000? $1,000? Would you believe it if I told you that how do you get him back won't even cost you $100, not even $50? Your investment in getting your man back and keeping him devoted to you is only $47. That's less than the price of a nice pair of shoes. You would have to book several counseling sessions with me and pay hundreds of dollars in hourly fees to get all the eye-opening content you'll find in How Do I Get Him Back. What's more, when you consider that my step-by-step game plan for getting your man back is not available anywhere else, isn't it clear that you need to own this priceless insights right now? Here's what one woman wrote to me. Bob, this book is worth its weight in gold. Wow, Bob, your book, How Do I Get Him Back, really opened my eyes to the truth about men. I used to think that all men generally have a love 'em and leave 'em attitude when it comes to dating women, and that there was nothing I could do to make a man faithful to me. This book revealed an important concept about how to make a man regard me as someone of great value, someone who's worth devoting his singular attention to. I am forever grateful for this priceless information, which I know will serve me for life. I appreciate this book even more because ever since I read it, I've been sharing what I learned from it with girlfriends and female members of my family who wanted to get their boyfriends back. I feel like a female Dr. Phil dispensing expert advice to women. This book is worth its weight in gold. Kristen from Los Angeles. Although the game plan I reveal in How Do I Get Him Back is simple enough for anyone to implement on their own, I also know that sometimes women want to discuss their situation or concerns with an expert relationship therapist one-on-one. Therefore, when you take How Do I Get Him Back for a risk-free trial, I'll offer a free 15-minute private phone consultation with you. Now, please understand that I can only guarantee you'll get this free bonus for a few more weeks. I wish I could clone myself so that I could provide a 15-minute personal coaching session to every woman who needs it. But I'm afraid I have a very busy schedule, and I can only accommodate a few women each week. And just to make sure you have the support you need, I'll even include a bonus option of a free 30-day trial to the Woman Men Adore Club, where I will work with you and a select group of other smart and successful women and provide you with answers to your most urgent questions. In addition, here's my zero-risk, ironclad, 100% this is going to work or you get your money-back guarantee. I am so confident that you'll be absolutely thrilled with the step-by-step game plan revealed in How Do I Get Him Back, that you only have one regret, and that's this: not having had this valuable resource years ago. You'll realize that you could have used this plan in all your relationships with guys over the years, all the way back to your high school days when you started having relationship challenges with boys. How many guys did you let slip through your fingers? How many days have you spent crying because a guy left you and you didn't know how to get him back? When you get How Do I Get Him Back, you'll feel secure knowing that you finally have the secret to having a successful relationship with a man. But don't take my word for it. Try the step-by-step game plan and put it to the test. All I ask is that you implement the plan and stick to it even if you don't see anything happen at first. When you start seeing results, continue implementing it so that you can keep your man for good. Now, why do I offer such a generous guarantee? Because I know that there are some men that this won't work on. Those that are chronic cheaters or who view women as nothing more than a playful distraction. For that type of man, you may decide that you don't want him back after all. But I want you to have the choice of whether to keep him or not. If you follow the plan exactly and it doesn't do for you what I promised, simply send me an email within 8 weeks of your purchase, and I'll refund your entire purchase price. No questions asked. The only requirement is that you give it a fair try. Don't just skim over How Do I Get Him Back without implementing these strategies. You owe it to yourself to see how amazing this plan is when followed to the letter. Since you've listened this far, I know you're obviously interested in getting your man back, or maybe helping a girlfriend get her man back. I also know that in your life, you and your girlfriends have probably known a lot of men who suddenly leave a relationship that seems to be going well, and you've probably devised all kinds of ploys to get men back and have had little or no success. If you're one of the lucky women who's never had the experience of suddenly being dumped by a man with whom you were having what you thought was a good relationship, I can tell you this: sometime in your dating life, you will experience it. And chances are you'll experience it more than once. And so will your girlfriends. That's because it's a relationship pattern that spontaneously shows up simply because men are true to their male nature. And this often comes into conflict with women who are just being true to their female nature. Oftentimes, neither the man or the woman is singularly at fault. It's just the eternal battle of the sexes at work. It's the wise woman who learns how to harmonize, not compromise, with the nature of men, and eventually triumphs and gets what she wants out of her relationship with a man. So right now you have a choice to make. You could either download a copy of How Do I Get Him Back and begin implementing the step-by-step game plan that will not only bring your man back, but also keep him devoted to you for good. Or you could remain the same woman with the same relationship challenges you have today, never knowing how much better your life could be if you could just learn how to get your man back. If you're willing to take the chance of losing your man forever by trying ineffective strategies, then I hope he comes back to you. But if you want my help and my proven plan for bringing him back, just click on the Add to Cart button below and let me help you save your relationship.